Okay, here we are. Welcome to Kendama Jendale and the Fake News. I'm here with my friend Ed Johnson,
What's up?
and it is Monday, February 27th, 2016. I've given Ed complete editorial control over the show today, and we're just going to get right to it. All right, Missoula lawmakers co-sponsor bill to raise production limit for breweries. This one's pretty self-explanatory, I think. There's currently a limit of 10,000 barrels a year to 60,000 barrels a year. And they're raising that limit to 60,000 barrels a year. I think this is awesome. I think this is super cool. Well, do you know why this limit was in place in the first place?
Yeah, along with kind of Montana's tradition for limiting alcohol producers and licenses, they kind of implemented some things that controlled production. But now with like modern production methods, some of these microbreweries are actually capable of producing a ton more, like Bozone, for example. So
Right.
this would just give craft brewers like we like around Bozeman the ability to make a lot more and sell it, in stores and stuff, and still be like a tasting room.
Great.
So
yeah,
I'm all for it.
I wholeheartly support this. I went to Minnesota and there were like bizarre restrictions on breweries. Like if you had a tasting room, you couldn't. What was it? It was you couldn't sell food if you were distributing.
Yeah.
So you could have a tasting room, but you couldn't sell food in it if you were canning. So there's breweries where you can go and have a tasting room, and there's breweries that distribute, but they're not like there's no crossover between. And it's like, why would you do that? You're just artificially restricting.
Yeah. So they're working on that, the legislature. There's actually a similar thing here that's like that. It's
Really? Oh, I didn't know
like,
that.
Like Bridger Brewing can't sell in stores right now because they also serve food.
Huh?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's a weird law. I don't know the exact text of it, but yes.
Oh, we might have to put that on the legislative agenda.
Yeah.
All right. Montana legislators vote against restricting media photos, and this is for like accident victims, right?
Yeah. So it was proposed because this lady saw her, I think it was her husband or something had died. Boyfriend had died in a vehicle accident, and then she learned about it on Facebook, rather than through family and friends. She like saw it on social media, and so
that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks really bad. So they're trying to limit when the press could publish photos and whatnot, but it got shot down because it's kind of anti-free speech and it's not very constitutional.
Yeah.
So it fell in court. But I think they said they should just have basic decency, like the press should.
Yeah, it would also, it would behoove, I think, the press to maybe, I know this isn't necessarily their job, but to, notify people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or to reach out to the victims' families before publishing an article like, hey, this dude died on the road.
Yeah. You'd think that'd be, standard practice, but just in this case, it didn't happen.
Right,
right.
Sucks. Yeah, I feel like that's the police's job generally, like highway patrol.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, very interesting. Why is Amanda Curtis on here? Oh,
I think
she proposed it. Okay.
Proposed, yeah.
Cool. All right, moving on. Social media reacts. Massive snow days at Bridger Bull. We got 2 feet. Right? 26 inches?
Yeah, 2 feet.
Oh, my goodness.
Plus a little.
Freaking skiers are losing their minds.
Yeah, everyone's going crazy about that up on the hill. Yeah, just some of the videos are nuts. It's like the best time ever.
Yeah, boys! I wish I had one. Scott Springer put a really good video on.
Yeah.
It was in slow-mo. Funny. That's awesome. God bless the skier. Are you a skier? Snowboarder?
I'm a skier.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Cool. I don't go up all that often. I go up every once in a while. But
Same.
It's kind of expensive. I have a lot of other hobbies.
It is. Yeah, that's true.
Wait, whoa. Okay, man shoots at shoplifters outside Billings Mall.
Yeah, this is actually, I just saw this and it was just kind of funny. Of a video.
This is so funny. This is the mall where the comic book store is, right?
The comic, yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah. So basically, these supposed shoplifters are trying to get away. They're already in their vehicle, and this guy's like got their trunk open. He's like threatening them if they don't stop. And then he starts shooting, but he's not shooting at them. I don't know if he was trying to shoot out their tires or what, but it's pretty funny.
Sometimes I feel like people just like, I want to take some shots.
Yeah.
And they get into a social situation where they can be like, oh, there were shoplifters. And, okay. Cool. Power to that guy. All right. IGN. This is just a link to the homepage. What do you think about IGN? Do you like IGN?
Yeah, I mean, I think for summing up, like, just the gaming news of the day, which is kind of why I put this on here, it's pretty good. You kind of have to go other places if you want the content around it. I don't know. I'm a gamer, so I enjoy gaming news. So the big things today were people first playing Horizon, the new one, and the Mordor Shadow of War, Lord of the Rings trailer came out. So,
sweet.
Anyway, that's in gaming news.
So what's Horizon? I haven't heard of that.
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn. I was watching some people play it earlier today. It's pretty cool. It's like this dystopian future where...
Wait, is Simba in it? Is that...
Simba?
I don't want to...
Oh, no.
That was something else.
Yeah, it's like
Rated T for teen. The stories don't tell us where
Are
the
you
old
kidding
ones
me?
went.
Come on,
They
IGN.
tell us why the machines rule these
the
lands.
autoplay, gotcha.
Yeah, well, and there's no pause button.
I know, they screw you.
All right.
Anyway, the concept of that game is pretty cool. It's like this dystopian future where there's machines as animals running around.
Cool.
So you have to like
that sounds
the
sweet.
machine animals and stuff.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I have a big problem with like a lot of gaming news websites because I feel like mostly it's the same thing for like Hollywood news where it's like I think they mostly exist as like PR.
Oh yeah.
You know, like 90% of it is just like I don't want to say like bought and paid for by.
I mean, it is.
But it's sort of this whole economic cycle of like new game releases come out and the gamers want to hear about the new games and the news companies want to cover the big games and then the Call of Duty keeps getting 9.5s even though like what
I mean I mean it's cool to know like for me it's like cool to just know what the thing is of the day, like what just came out, and then I usually go to like YouTube or something to like watch what it actually is.
That to me is like the coolest part of like modern games journalism or whatever is you can just watch Let's Plays.
Yeah.
Like I remember back when I was like 14 or something, I subscribed to GameSpot Gold.
Oh yeah.
So that I could watch what were basically like Let's Plays of like new games that were coming out.
Yeah.
It's like
the good old days.
I wonder if GameSpot, right?
Yeah, I think that's still a thing.
I always confuse GameStop and GameSpot. Yeah. But I think GameStop Gold subscriptions probably tanked when YouTube came out. Okay, Daytona 500. Talk about this because I sure can't.
Yeah, so I mean the Daytona 500 happened yesterday. It's like NASCAR's biggest race for all you NASCAR fans out there.
Sweet.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, who's been like kind of a NASCAR star for a while. He's never won the Daytona 500. It's like NASCAR's biggest race, like I said. So
is he related to the Bushes of Busch Gardens and brewing fame?
He might be. I don't think so though.
Okay.
I don't. It'd be funny if he was sponsored by them or something.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think he is. But yeah. I mean, NASCAR's like for people who hate on NASCAR. It's kind of crazy. I don't watch any of it myself, but these guys will lose like 5 to 15 pounds while they're driving just because of the high heat and the high intensity.
Yeah, and it's a long time too.
It's actually kind of insane.
Do you know what this means? Did we pass? What was it? Did our car pass tech yet? This feels permanent. Do you know what passing tech means?
Yeah, it's like that's like the check that his crew does on the systems. And stuff.
Oh, okay, right.
So.
Yeah,
anyway.
my favorite movie is Speed Racer, so I can get jiggy with racing stuff.
Yeah.
All right. NCAA, Brett, March Madness is coming up.
Yeah, March Madness. So
who you rooting for?
My favorite college basketball team is Kansas, and they're usually good every year. I don't know where they're positioned at the
number one
spot. That's kind of usual for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, bracketology is just fun. Just setting up a pool with your office or your friends or whatever.
Are you in a pool right now?
Not yet. Not right now.
Are you gonna be in a pool?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're still like adjusting a little bit before the final brackets are set, but yeah, I'll probably do it this year.
Sweet.
It's coming up, so if you want an excuse to gamble, there you go.
Right. Cool. All right. Good News Network. Watch shocked busload of tourists find themselves on an Academy Award show. So what was this? They like hijacked a bus basically and like brought them to the Academy Awards and put them all on stage.
Yeah. So they like
Sick.
all walked out there in the A-list zone, and I think like Ryan Gosling came up and like kissed this lady, and she made this freak out face or something. It's pretty great, and she had like a selfie stick while she was doing it.
Wait, one couple, Denzel married two of them? They were getting engaged, and they happened to mention that Denzel Washington was their favorite actor, and in honor of the special occasion, Denzel married the couple on the spot. It's Denzel, so it's legal.
So anyway, this
Sick. All right.
funny thing that happened at the Oscars. But in other funny things that happened at the Oscars.
The funny thing happened on the way to the Oscars. So, okay, I didn't watch the Oscars. I haven't watched the Oscars since 2009.
Yeah, neither did I. I just followed it on Twitter, actually.
Right, yeah. I had to, like, log off Twitter until the darn things were over. Because it just becomes useless because everyone's live tweeting the freaking Oscars.
Yeah.
What do you do you think this was real? Do you think they did this on purpose?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. You know,
like, because to me, I immediately see this. I'm like, no, this is
right? Yeah, this is so Hollywood, like.
Right? Yeah, like
of course they would give him the second envelope or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was probably staged by somebody or another. I think the guy reading it had no idea what was going on. He probably just was like, La La Land, I guess.
Well, so like Warren Beatty like took the envelope and was like looking at it and was like, "What the heck is going on right now?" And he like looked at it for a while and he's super confused. And then he shows it to Faye Dunaway, and then Faye Dunaway just like reads it because that's what you do if somebody shows you a card at the Oscars. And then he was like, "Oh no," but I mean he kind of passed the buck, I guess, to Faye.
Yeah, I think they were just probably confused because somebody decided backstage to give them the backup envelope for Best Actress.
Because, I mean, just think about, like, how many news stories they've got covered because of this.
I mean, that's, like, the news of the day.
Right. Sure. The Oscars have gotten more press because they screwed up the envelopes. And all it takes is, like, one person to screw up the envelope, and then it's like, okay.
I honestly think it was probably, like, someone backstage, like, they're just kind of pulling a Hollywood stunt to get Hollywood some airtime over Trump today or something like that.
And I mean, it happened with like Steve Harvey too. Like, it almost seems like this is just like something you do at award shows now to just like get more views because everyone's like, "Wow, look at the mistake."
Who knows?
And also, so like La La Land was like because remember last year at the Oscars, it was like Oscars so white.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
it was like the hashtag Oscars so white, and I haven't seen La La Land or Moonlight, right? But my understanding, and I don't really need to, but like my understanding is that like La La Land was like the white musical, right? Where it's like
white.
celebrating Hollywood and like, yay, Hollywood's great. So it's Oscar bait, of course. And Moonlight is like, I don't know, like some kind of extreme drama about struggle in society or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so like
the main character was like a gay black guy, so.
Oh, okay, right. So exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole like we're like, you know, it's this narrative of like the Oscars redeeming itself and like becoming super progressive, and it's like, come on, guys, no.
I ain't falling for it.
I ain't falling for it. That's okay. Moving on. That's enough airtime for the darn Oscars. Okay, this is kind of cool. Do you look like your name? People can match names to faces of strangers with surprising accuracy. So this is kind of a cool study.
Yeah, so basically what they found was there's a statistical significance between like a computer randomly guessing people's names and people like guessing people's names, and they actually made like a computer algorithm to match people guessing other people's names based on their appearance.
Wow. Okay.
And so people who guess people's names based on their appearance is actually like around 10 to 20% more accurate.
Than random chance
than
would
just
provide.
Random chance, yeah. So it's like somehow you look like that's saying, he looks like Bob or Jim or whatever.
Right.
It's actually true. Like there's a statistical significance, which says in a backwards way too, like does a social stereotype surrounding your name affect your appearance?
Right, exactly.
It's interesting.
It's hard to figure out like causation with this type of thing.
Right, yeah. It's one of those causation things, but it brings up some interesting questions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like this article. All right. From The Economist, free exchange, why taxing robots is not a good idea. All right, we addressed this a little bit. I think taxing robots is a good idea. This provides a counterpoint. What do you think about that? Can you sum up the argument towards it?
Yeah, I mean, so like the main point was, maybe we can tax robots and therefore disincentivize moving production over to machines so much, and then be able to keep workers around and hire people and stuff. But so like, I mean, economists will always be really wary of a tax because it limits the market's ability to adjust itself.
Sure. So, like Chicago economists, I would maybe like free market economists.
Yeah, like free market economists, definitely for sure. But just a tax as anything will affect the economy, and economists always analyze that. And
sure.
So, so I guess the counterpoint would just be that like automation has taken a lot of jobs already, like let's just say the auto industry,
right?
And they're kind of unsure how much more it could take away, rather than making businesses and the economy more efficient in their production. So the counterpoint was, is taxing it really a good idea? Because it might negatively affect production and stuff in the long term. So who knows? It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting question. And I think there's room for a balance and that type of thing. I mean, the basic idea, I think, is that, right, like you are in some way trying to disincentivize robotics to an extent, but not enough to where you block the adoption of robotics, but you use the taxation of robots in order to maybe build some kind of like a basic income type of situation. And then that could potentially make the transition from our current society to like a post-scarcity automated society a little smoother.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely rocky, like as far as a bunch of people losing their jobs to automation, especially in production. So.
Right. And I mean, definitely the alternative of like continuing to work crappy jobs, just so that you can continue to have a wage and not letting the robots do it, that's not better. Like, that's not helping anybody, and it's maybe, like, kind of dumb. You know what I mean? But, like, okay, so let's use this hypothetical situation. Like, so a lot of people support a minimum wage of, like, $15 an hour, right?
Sure.
And I personally think that this is not a great idea, because I've worked in local businesses, I've worked in franchises. I understand that, like, when small startup businesses, their wages are a tough thing to deal with. Like, I think workers should absolutely have a living wage, right? And it's figuring out a way to do that is definitely like a super difficult thing. But for me, it's like what a $15 minimum wage would do. It would mean that only places like McDonald's would be able to afford a $15 minimum wage. And basically what would happen is McDonald's would take a loss on that wage. They would pay $15 an hour until they could build robots to replace the workers. Right?
And so
for me, it's like it's always going to be big businesses who are the first to adopt robots. And I'm not saying we shouldn't adopt robots. Like, eventually robots will be really helpful for like small and local businesses and stuff. But in the interim, I think like putting a tax on those businesses could potentially help small businesses exist. That's just my perspective, and I don't know if it would actually work out that way. But
yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like for a lot of the economy, the big businesses operate within the same kind of legal marketplace as the small businesses. However, they just have a vast amount more of like established resources and stuff. So it's a lot easier for them to like take the loss on the minimum wage, like you said.
Right.
But in that example, like the minimum wage hurts those smaller businesses because they can't hire people.
Right.
So I mean, I would say like the same thing with like technology adoption, like automation. Big businesses can afford it.
It's going to take a massive startup cost to get those robots in.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but in the long term, it saves money.
Yeah, but at the same time, you'd have to apply that to any smaller business that wanted to do automation to, let's say, better compete against the big business. And so they'd have to take the same kind of legal and resource hit unless there was, a clear and distinct line drawn between like what constitutes a big business and a small business with those. And, that's kind of where you get into like iffy kind of, regulatory and tax types of things.
Right. It gets really, really complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I like about Trump's policy is I think this whole economic isolationist thing or just like preventing outsourcing is actually like kind of a good idea. Like, I don't think sweatshop labor is that good of a thing. Like, overall, I think it hurts our economy locally, and I think it basically creates a labor class in a foreign country that it's like mercantilism or something, right? Like, I don't think it's necessarily ethical.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be like a prevailing attitude nowadays. And I think, like, if that gets done, there's going to be big trade-offs people see.
Right.
Like if Trump puts a huge tariff on Chinese plastic goods or something, it's going to end up hurting the American consumer because it won't be just Chinese plastic goods. It'll be like all the fruits and vegetables you buy from South American markets that you buy at your local market. And now it'll be like 5 times more expensive. Right. So, I mean, people will be living like probably a whole different lifestyle with a bunch of foreign tariffs put in place.
I mean, I have a friend who makes ski goggles, and he's worried about, like, because he gets his ski goggle parts from China, and he's worried about increasing costs. And he creates, like, kind of a premium, like, locally made product and that sort of thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, he obviously outsources a good chunk of it, right? It's being manufactured in Chinese factories, but he's seriously worried about, like, his supply, that his supply could get significantly more expensive.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand is like local products are great, but the vast majority of like local products that you would use on a daily basis, their materials or design or something is sourced to most often a different country.
They rely on a global supply chain.
Yeah. Definitely like a different state, if not a different country. Because, we don't produce, lemon trees in Montana, for example.
Right.
But, so.
Well, interesting. We'll have to see what happens. It's a
global free trade.
Brave new world. All right, this is Bill Gates AMA. I scrolled through the first 20 questions or so and didn't think they were super good or interesting. I thought this was one of the top things is Bill Gates talking about how people feel a sense of isolation. And he wants to have a Tinder for adults to mentor kids with, which is kind of a weird thing to say. But
right, that's just kind of like a weird metaphor. That's a little bit creepy.
I'm misconstruing what he's saying a little bit, but that's okay. We're gonna. All right. This is the one other homepage for news source that you pulled out, the Wall Street Journal. You like the Wall Street Journal. Talk about the Wall Street Journal.
Well, to me, the Wall Street Journal is actually pretty objective. They're economy and business based.
Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, like when an issue becomes partisan or whatever, they don't really hop into that. I don't think their reporters have kind of a partisan spin like most sources of news, I think, do. So
they're owned by Jeff Bezos, right?
The Wall Street Journal?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
Is that the Washington Post? Wall Street Journal's Rupert Murdoch. I'm thinking of the Washington Post.
Yeah.
So they're owned by Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it might be Rupert Murdoch, yeah. Anyway, so they're economy and business based, and I like their deck. You can like see the stock market, you can read headlines real quick, and they don't have like inflammatory, one-sided words in their headlines. So, like, you're just like, oh, okay.
It's not really clickbait. They haven't fallen into the clickbait trap.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the opposite of clickbait. And if you go to any like mainstream news source, you'll maybe have like a half page of actual article headlines. You scroll down a little bit, and then it's all like ad choices, clickbait or something. Right. So,
but they do have a pretty big paywall. Are you a subscriber?
No, I'm not. Because it costs a lot of money. Business people like it, so.
Right. What do you think are the limits of its journalistic purviews? What are its biases?
The Wall Street Journal?
Yeah. Do you think it has any? I mean, to me, I think like every news source has them. But like, what do you think the?
I think it's the limits of its purviews, or like how does this affect business or economy? I don't think it really too much dives into social issues unless it's like unless it has some sort of measurable impact on business or the economy. So
what kind of bias do you think that creates in its coverage? Like, where do you think its holes are in coverage? What sort of issues do you go like, okay, the Wall Street Journal isn't going to cover this, I'm going to need to go to a different source?
Well, like I said, I mean, like, you know, if you're looking for coverage of social issues or even like political issues, from more of,
I'm going to press you here. Like what?
Like, for example, if you're looking for something that's talking about like the contentious whatevers between the Democrats and the Republicans in the House, or if you're looking for something that's like, you know, how does yada da affect the transgendered community? Like, how does Trump policies affect that or something? Like, these guys aren't going to tell you that, other than maybe just like the economic impact. Like, this is from their Capital Journal. You know, but that's just kind of like a sub-political bit of their overall thing.
So let's do this. I think this is a nice segue. One of the things I think would be like their perspective on this is going to be this perspective, right? This is Fox Business, but it's like the stocks go up when Trump increases the size of the military.
Yeah, so I mean, so like there's a spin perspective. It's from Fox Business. Like, stocks go up, so it's like a positive spin on Trump increasing the military spending by $54 billion.
Right.
As opposed to, if you scroll up to like the headline here, it's just like Donald Trump to propose $54 billion increase in military.
Right.
It's just like a very factual, like.
But I would also say like the Wall Street Journal probably isn't going to cover like which third world countries are going to be most affected by this policy of increasing military spending. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I think that's just like a baseline, like, you know, this is what he's doing.
Right.
So
I don't think the Wall Street Journal is like a particularly good place to go to get narratives about, like you were saying, like transgender rights and stuff. That stuff probably doesn't get covered. But for me, it's like more important is like colonialism, or like what's going to happen to like a third world country, or like, are we going to invade Yemen? What's going to happen to Yemen? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not very. This doesn't really look. It doesn't speculate into cause and effect.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Sure. Yeah.
For some people to like understand what cause and effect like could potentially be, but at the same time, I think it's also important to just understand something how it is, and like, you know, and then you can kind of work off of that information from there. And I think that's actually the problem with a lot of journalistic outlets, is they just like speculate far too much, and often in like a partisan way.
Sure. Right.
So anyway, just my thoughts.
Cool. Do you have any further thoughts on this? What do you think is like?
Yeah, just like my own opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure how he's gonna do it. Like, he's gonna face a lot of opposition from Republicans for this, because he's either gonna have to like raise taxes a lot to pay for it, or cut like something huge, like, you know, Social Security or something. Even though he said he wouldn't the other day, I just don't understand how Trump's gonna like pay for this military increase and like infrastructure without like raising taxes or something.
So I think Trump is gonna tax the rich.
Yeah, potentially.
I think Trump is gonna basically. I think that's. I mean, so okay. What do you think about the billionaire cabinet narrative, right? Because like that can kind of go either way. Where Trump's whole thing is, it's like I'm I have FU money, right? It's like nobody can buy me out. I can do whatever I want because I'm not beholden to anybody, right? And so it seemed like a lot of people are saying like, oh, Trump's assembling a cabinet of billionaires, but like from his narrative, whether you agree with it or not, it's like he's assembling a cabinet of people who aren't beholden to anyone, right? But one of the other things he could do with that is he could say, we're going to tax the rich, right? And we can do that because we are the rich. And then they'll just bully anybody who doesn't like that into falling in line. You know what I mean?
I mean, that would be pretty crazy, but, it's Trump, so it's definitely possible. But I don't know. He's, just broken so far with kind of traditional, let's just say, Republican stances on issues like free trade, for example.
Right.
So that, he very well could do that. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Face a lot of opposition, though, for sure, if he did that.
Right.
So.
But I don't know. I mean, to me, I think he supported single payer healthcare in the past. Like, I don't know if you know that.
Oh yeah, no, Trump has flip flopped on a lot of issues and changed his views and all that on a lot of other issues and stuff. So.
Yeah, he definitely basically just endorses all sides of an argument and lets people project their own beliefs onto him. All right. Anyway,
we'll see how effective that is.
It's been pretty effective so far.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm just like I said, I'm just curious to see how he's gonna pay for. He's either gonna just incur a lot larger of a national debt, which conservatives don't like, or he's gonna have to raise taxes, which Republicans don't like, or cut a massive Social Security thing or something, which nobody likes. So it'll be interesting.
I just think I don't think Republicans have much room to argue, to be perfectly honest.
As far as raising the taxes on the rich? Or
or just in general, kind of if Trump wants to institute a social policy that is not traditionally part of the sort of Republican conservative movement, I think they'll just fall in line. I don't think anyone in the Republican Party has the political capital to go against Trump right now.
I mean, you could be right, except when it comes to raising taxes, that's probably your biggest thing. What really separates, at least to me, and I think still separates Republican ideology from Democratic ideology, is small government versus bigger government, less taxes versus more taxes. So if you kind of break one of those kind of main pillars, then you're basically going to be of the other party. So it'll be interesting to see if he is able to bully pulpit his way into raising taxes.
Because I think you could say we're cutting taxes on the middle class, we're cutting taxes on the lower class, we're cutting taxes on small businesses, we're going to raise taxes slightly on billionaires, but it doesn't even have to be raising taxes. It can just be eliminating tax loopholes, right? Because if you eliminated tax loopholes for right, there's that whole thing of Trump didn't pay any taxes, and Hillary tried to go after him he didn't pay taxes, and he's that makes me smart. I didn't voluntarily pay stuff that I legally didn't have to your government.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting a lot of kind of faith in Trump, and I mean, I guess he's the president, so I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of faith in him, so. I don't know if he's going to find the ideal solution to some things, but we'll find out. Yeah,
we'll find out. I don't know. I think the tax code, I believe him when he says he's going to change the tax code pretty drastically. That to me is something I think he'd be equipped to do.
Well, he said before
he has a motivation to do.
He would cut business taxes down to 15%. Right. Now that includes every large business out there, and so if you're one of his CEO buddies or something, you're getting a massive tax cut, which I think,
but
personally,
I'm not
my philosophy
sure
is a good thing. But
because Apple doesn't pay taxes, right? Apple has
pays taxes.
$7 billion in an offshore account in Ireland or something like that.
Yeah,
let's look this up.
They're getting sued
Does
by the Irish for
Apple pay taxes?
I don't know what the latest on that story is, but yes, Apple pays a lot of taxes.
Okay, so this is from Forbes. How does Apple avoid taxes? set up Irish subsidiaries a mere 4 years after it was founded. Ireland is a tax haven. Ireland were a legitimate low-tax company. They would be paying a statutory 12.5 rate. I don't know. I don't really have time to go through this right now.
Well, I think the Irish government was like trying to get that 12.5% income tax.
Oh, so Ireland's not even getting paid for it.
No, and they sued Apple.
Sick.
But I don't think that's not like a full tax haven. I'm pretty sure Apple pays significant income taxes in the United States.
Right.
For running their business here.
So the question is that I don't know, and I don't think you know, or maybe even anyone at Apple knows, is let's say there were taxes set at 15% or 20% or 25%. At what point would Apple be paying less than they are currently? Right? How much money is Apple funneling through loopholes and through tax havens? That to me is the big question.
That is a good question. And, if you were to say 15%, like Trump has said, would that help or hurt Apple?
Right.
They continue to funnel and use tax loopholes, and I don't know. That's a good question. They might not. I think a lot of companies will stop feeling the need to use so many tax loopholes if their regulations are cut and their taxes are much less.
Right.
So it could be a good thing for the economy. The economy seems to like it so far.
It could destroy accounting jobs. If it was I remember, who was it? Some guy was talking about somebody was proposing a flat tax. Was it Forbes? Can't remember. Anyway, it was one of the early flat tax proposals, and they were basically talking about how there's this massive cottage industry of tax consultants that are lobbying against any kind of tax code reform because it would eliminate jobs in the tax consultant industry.
Oh, of course.
Of course. Oh, God.
Whenever you change something, people are going to be pissed because some people won't get to keep their jobs doing their making complicated of things that shouldn't be complicated anymore.
Right. Okay, Uber dismissed warnings about its illegal self-driving test for months, emails show.
Yes, Uber's in hot water.
What do you think about this?
I mean, it seems like Uber is taking a lot of heat recently, and I think actually they got sued by Alphabet.
The Google umbrella company, right?
Yes, for screwing around with the self-driving car technology.
What do you taking Alphabet's self-driving car technology, or what?
Yeah, so I think they jacked around with that, and then they're trying to implement it into their own business model and stuff. And so they were testing a lot of self-driving cars, and with that, people are super worried about that, what happens when a driverless car crashes into somebody and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. I like Uber. I use it.
Should self-driving cars pay taxes?
I mean, that's a good question. I guess they're robots technically, so should they be taxed or should they pay taxes?